with like 4 to go, the water pump fell off the front of the motor.
Oh man.
I didn't know it at the time. Uh, so when the water pump fell off, you lose all the water, and the gauge isn't going to read hot if there's not water on the gauge. So I seen smoke coming out from underneath the hood, like just a little bit at corner entry. I thought it was a power steering line, so I was waiting for the power steering to quit. And we pulled. We ended up winning the race, and we pull to the scales, and I go to shut the motor off, and it was so hot it wouldn't shut off. I had
Man.
to jam in here to get the motor to die.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mid-America Dirt. I'm Skip, and I'm super excited to be joined by Blaze Burwell. Blaze, how you doing today, man?
Doing great.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to get you on here. I talked to you down at Crowley. I got to make sure I say it right because I got a bunch of flack for not saying it right. Crowley's Ridge Raceway. What, probably a month and a half ago, 2 months ago?
Yeah, probably 2 months ago. Yeah, is it Crawleys or Crowleys? I wasn't sure
It's
myself.
it's for sure Crowley's. So
Okay, and they get
it
they get mad if you say it wrong, huh?
it's the most commented on video I've had yet, I think.
Really? I
Yeah,
got you.
talking about it. So yeah, it's Crowley's Ridge. I'll probably just say the Ridge from now on. But yeah, I
For
met you down
sure.
there and talked to you, and I've been looking forward to getting on here and hearing your story, man. I kind of talked to you about it down there, but could you kind of get into your story for me on here, like if you come from a racing family and how you got started in it and everything?
Yeah, for sure. So, let's see. I'm 31 now. I guess I started racing go-karts when I was 8 or 9 or something like that, like when every other kid started. And then when I was probably 12, 13, somewhere in there, I guess I quit. Um, my I don't know, my parents had split up. My dad raced when I was a kid, but he had quit racing. My mom wasn't going to take me, and just kind of one of them deals. I just was a normal kid doing normal kid stuff. And I guess when I was in high school, I got back into kart racing for a little while. And I got my little brother into it. Um, and then we all kind of raced as like a family and stuff for a few years there. And then I quit again, and probably I was 21, 20 or 21. And a buddy of mine had a 4-cylinder car, and I was kind of going with him a little bit. And he's like, "Man, why don't you drive this thing?" And I said, "No, I don't want to drive no 4-cylinder car. I'm not talking bad about the 4-cylinder guys, because, uh, but anyway, my dad raced late models, my grandpa raced late models, and that's kind of, if I was going to race anything, that's what I wanted to do. I got into racing dirt bikes and four wheelers and that kind of stuff, and doing the motocross stuff. And uh, I got hurt a couple times and in the hospital once. And I decided that, I needed to grow up. If I was going to have a job, I couldn't be laying in a hospital bed. So, uh, I don't know. One weekend, my buddy was going to a practice day, and he said, why don't you drive this 4-cylinder car?" So I did. And man, I had a ball. I thought, this is, just as much fun as racing a four wheeler or a dirt bike, and
Yeah.
uh, a lot less chance of getting hurt. So I raced his car that year, and then at the end of the year, I decided I was going to get me a B-Mod. So I sold the pickup truck I was driving every day and bought a little bit older truck and bought a B-Mod. We took it to the racetrack once, and I was just going to make some laps after the races. And we sat there in the stands, and I watched the B-Mods race that night, and they wrecked all night long. And I thought, man, there ain't no way I can afford to wreck this thing the way these
Yeah.
guys wrecked. I might as well get a demo car. So I made some laps after the races that night, and then I decided that I was going to have to do something different because the B mod thing wasn't going to work. Uh, and over the winter, a deal just kind of fell into my lap to get a crate late model, and we started crate racing. And I guess now here we are.
Okay. And you've done a lot
Uh,
of trading, and I noticed about you. I follow you on Facebook. So you're like I don't know exactly what your Burwell Motorsports is. Maybe you can explain that to me. But it
for sure.
seems like you're a pretty big trader, in late model stuff. And in parts and things like that.
Yeah, so to get into that, I guess I've always my family's owned a car business, so my whole life wheeling and dealing's kind of been in my blood, I guess you'd say. Um, so everything I've ever done, like I've always, ain't nobody ever bought nothing for me. I've always worked, wheeled and dealed and traded and whatnot to get what I got. Um, so when this crate late model deal happened, I was actually looking for, and you can probably appreciate this. I wanted like a '90s Chevy dually with a big block in it. Like everybody, drives these new fancy dualies. No, I wanted a '90s Chevy dually with a big block. And the same guy that got me four-cylinder racing, he said, "Man, there was a guy that raced at Mount Vernon, which was our local track. They shut down years before I started." He's like, "And he had a white one, and it still sits in front of his house, hooked to his race car trailer." He's like, "I don't think he ever got rid of anything. We ought to run down there and see if he'd sell that truck." So we rode down there one day and knocked on his door, and he said, "Yeah, I'd sell it, but the only way I'm selling my truck is if I sell the trailer and the cars and everything that goes along with it." I thought, man, there ain't no way I can afford to buy all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that wasn't new cars by no means, but it was, at the time I was delivering furniture for a furniture store in town, and I wasn't making enough to go late model racing. Uh, so I went home and I thought about how much I liked that truck. And then I went back down there and I got him to give me a price on everything. And I don't know, a week or two went by, and I had found a guy that, uh, a buddy of mine that wanted to buy the trailer, and I sold that pickup truck I was driving, and I don't remember what I'd used to get me by in the days prior to this, but I bought this guy's stuff. It was a trailer, a truck, and then two race cars, uh, late models, and man, that guy. And I could still, I mean, I promise you, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without this specific deal. Uh, we started, like, he showed me everything when we went to go look at, what I thought I was buying. And he showed me everything in his garage, and we loaded all that stuff up, and probably took us, what, two trips, to get it home. And then he had another garage on the property that was full of parts, and then another garage in town that was full of parts, and then a storage building that was full of parts. And I mean, I'm telling you,
Golly.
if it probably took us, six or seven trips to get all this stuff to this little shop I was renting in town. I was renting a little, probably called a three-car garage, uh, in a neighborhood in town. Not a
Yeah.
great neighborhood, but it was enough to keep my stuff in. Uh, and so that winter I went around to all the swap meets and stuff, and I sold off everything that I didn't think I was going to use. And man, at the end of it, I just couldn't believe, how much of a market there was for all this old, used racing parts. So to pay for my racing that year, I went around to all the local guys, and I bought their, used stuff they wasn't using, and I resold it. Uh, because a lot of guys, they don't want to deal with the internet. They don't want to deal with the public and
Right.
stuff. And I don't mind it. That's what for the last 10 years now, that's what I do for a living, is deal with people. So, anyway, that's what got me started was, I did that on the side and delivered furniture, uh, for this place in town, which was actually, R&R Tire Express, which is our like biggest sponsor. It's a sister company to them. It's called Rent One. I don't know if you have them down around home or not, but anyway, it's like a national furniture company. That
Okay.
was really my only job I had before I started doing this. But I tried to do both, and man, I was trying to race, sell parts, and work a day job. And it got to the point where, in the mornings I was going to the shop and getting whatever I had to ship at lunch and go ship parts at lunch. And then after work, I'd have to go work on my race car to get it ready to race. And it was, 18-hour days, and it wasn't fun. And a buddy of mine looked at me one day. He said, "Man, why don't you quit your job?" I said, "Man, I can't quit my job." He said, "You're 21." He said, "You're making, plenty enough money doing what you're doing." He said, "And if it don't work," he said, you ain't got nothing to lose. Now's the time to try it." Uh, So I talked to my mom about it. She said, "No." She said, "You quit your job." She said, "You're gonna have to find a place to live." And I don't know. She probably wouldn't actually kick me out, but that's what she told me. So I had found a deal in Ohio that was one of those, too good to pass up deals. I asked my boss if I could trade days off. I didn't even want to take an extra day off. I just wanted to trade days off so I could go pick this deal up. And she told me no. And me being the stubborn guy I was, I said, "Well, I guess I'm taking it off anyway."
Yeah.
So I
So was
quit my
that the end
job,
of
and
that?
that was the end of that.
I got you. I got you. Yeah, I noticed. So how do you come up with all that stuff? I mean, you just people you know? Because I mean, I
Man,
think I looked today at some of your posts on Facebook, and you got look like several late malls. I don't know what stages. I don't remember what stages they are, but
yeah.
in
So
certain
I
stages.
started for sure. I started out, just local stuff pretty well, and then it's just like anything else, it gets bigger over time. I went from buying older, cheap race cars and parting them out and doing that kind of thing, and now, I mean, I buy, anything from national touring teams that are, selling off parts or even quitting. Like I'm sure you're familiar with Logan Martin.
Did you
Uh,
buy Logan Martins?
I got all Logan Martin stuff,
Did
so
you
I do
really?
complete team liquidations. Anything from, I mean, I don't, nothing too big or too small. If somebody's got parts, local guy that, just needs to liquidate some parts, we'll buy that. If you know, like Tyler Erb, he calls me, he'll have, cars and trailer loads full of parts, stuff that he's, cycled out of through the year. And there's quite a few teams that are like that. I guess SI Motorsports that Thornton used to drive for. Once a year, we'd make a trip there.
And just when they're restocking their stuff, yeah, that Logan
Yeah,
Martin deal, that was a big deal. That was big news.
it was huge. Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah.
That was definitely the probably one of the biggest deals I've done to date. But I sell probably um, this year has been like, which I think it's in all business forms, but this year's been a little slower than past. But normal years we average 50 to 75 cars a year, um, just selling used cars. And then I'm a Kryptonite race car dealer, so we assemble and sell new race cars as well.
Okay. All right. Are you the Kryptonite? I haven't seen a lot of those over here in our area. Are like you one of the only people that do that around here?
Probably so. Yeah, I'm probably the farthest. Which way are we? West, I guess,
West.
from them.
Yeah.
Dealer. Yeah. I've got. I don't know. We don't do a ton of new cars. It's like anything new. There's not a whole lot of markup to be fair, to the next guy. Like I can't charge what some people charge for these new race cars and sleep at night. So I probably do somewhere in the 5 to 7 new car range a year. So I don't have a ton of them out there, but there's several.
Okay. Ballpark figure. What would it be to get a new Kryptonite car from you or chassis?
Um, uh, about 40 for like a complete roller.
Okay. I mean, that's not actually that bad, is it?
It's not. So like that, and I'm not gonna name any other brands, because I don't want to single anybody out. But
Yeah. We know.
I bolt the same
I'm sure we know.
for sure. I bolt the same parts on my car that Tyler Erb or Ricky Thornton bolts on their cars, and the price that you pay from a company like that is substantially more for the same stuff. And I just, man, that's not fair to the racer. That's the reason that local racing's dying, is because the local racer can't afford to locally race, I
Yeah.
guess. And
I mean, and
that
there's so many modifieds, and I've talked to people or a lot of people about this. There's so many modifieds, and these guys, I don't know. A lot of them, I guess, think that they can't get into a late model for what they've got in their modified. But I've heard a lot of people say that it's absolutely possible to get into a decent late model for what they pay for their to compete
it,
locally.
it really is. Modified racing's, I mean, got to be almost as expensive as late model racing, really. I mean, 10 years ago there was a huge gap, and now, I mean, depends what brand you go. But man, I seen a used modified for sale the other day that cost as much as a new late model from a pretty well known brand. Um, but yeah, as far as the price difference, man, there really can't be that much because modifieds have got just as technical. I mean, really, your biggest difference is the price of your wheels. I mean, their tires cost almost as much. If they had aluminum wheels, I'd say they'd be damn near tit for tat. But it's that's probably about the biggest difference.
Yeah. I mean, so what do you think about these older, like, older late models now, older? Can you take those, you think? And I've seen people do it. So, I mean, I know it's possible. What's your take on it? Like, get older late models, get them out there on tracks and get them competitive. That's possible, right?
It is possible to an extent, and it the way I like. There's no reason that every late model racer out there needs to go out and buy a brand new race car, to go race and have fun. But like if you want to go to like just say like this last weekend we went to the Fall Classic at Wynot, Mississippi. Um and if you want to race at that level, like at a regional level, it's just extremely tough because everybody else in the pit area's got brand new stuff with the best stuff money can buy, and it's you you're just at a disadvantage
And,
to
and,
that.
and
I'm not saying it can't be done, but because it can. You do see it all the time. Like for like it instance out to your way, that Justin Wells does very very well with an older TNT carton. Um, and there's there it's like that all over the country. There's that guy that that does it his own way and does really really well, and props to them. Um, and that like I've been with Kryptonite now for since 2018, so 7 years. And I'm not, we have really nice equipment. We get, new cars periodically, every couple of years. But we're still on somewhat of an island compared to, like say Rocket or Longhorn. So I kind of like, I put myself in the bracket that I do it my own way as well. And it is super rewarding to go to those shows. And just to be, uh, point blank, I was in a different chassis this weekend. I was in a Longhorn, but I wrecked my car about a month ago, so I'm just finishing the year out in this car. Um, but anyway, it's super rewarding to go to like a national or you know a large show like that and run well in an older car or something. Some where you're the only one, and it's
yeah,
just
I saw a picture of, or a video somebody put this, I don't know if it looked like you were pretty close to, was it a heat race? Hey, was it you and,
um yeah. That Friday night we started fourth and we drove to the lead in the heat race, and then I gave it back to him. And then we started fourth in the feature, and we got up to third, battling for second, and we fell back a little bit and ended up eighth. But we ran really well. I was That's only my third night in that car, so I was pretty tickled with how we've taken off so far.
I mean, how big a difference or how big a adjustment is it for you to go from one thing to another? Is it a big adjustment to do that?
Driving wise, I don't feel like it's been that big of an adjustment. Just comfort wise, like I know, like I said, I've been with Kryptonite now since 2018. So even like year to year, even if we build a new car, it's not that much different than the car before. And I put my same seat in that I've had, it fits me like a glove. And so I can get out of one of those and into a new one, and it feels like I'm right back at home. And this other car, like it's great. We won the first night out in it. I'm not knocking it at all, but just being comfortable in certain scenarios and stuff like that, it's just going to take a little bit of an adjustment, to just to get to where I need to be or where I feel like I need to be.
So for people that don't know, and I'm one of them, I don't know. So I'm going to ask you. So like, uh, is there a huge difference in the way they drive? a different chassis? Is or the feel of it or what I don't know how to put it, but is there a difference in how they perform? I
There,
guess maybe.
there's probably a difference in how they perform and how they drive, but it's very minor. Like our current version of a dirt late model has been around since since the wedge cars left. So what's that? 35 years. So like where we're at in late model racing is we've maxed out every bit of speed that you can get out of a car. Like we're looking like if we're making adjustments, like without lying to you, like we're taking a 30-second shim out of the right front shock, which is, that's nothing. Uh, Looking at it in the floor, but when you go out there and you can feel the difference between a 30-second or an 1/8 inch shim,
That's crazy.
like that just it's insane. But that's what our adjustment is. It's one round here. It's a packer here, a spring rubber there, and that's all we do throughout the night. So like years ago, like when my dad raced, heck, they'd change shocks, they'd change springs, they'd change, every corner of the race car throughout the night. And the cars now are just so good and everybody's so close that if you're in the ballpark, your nightly adjustments are very, very minuscule.
Golly, man, that's it. So do you come up with your own setup? Are you the do you have a crew chief or do you do all your own setup?
I'm gonna say that I don't do it. My little brother, who races as well, um, he's definitely more on top of the setup stuff. Like I'm plenty capable of doing everything. But as far as like the shocks and the springs and everything's just got so technical. Like you live on a spring smasher pretty well, late model racing. And not that I don't want to be that guy, but I let him handle all that stuff.
Which I think it was Bill Fry I was talking to you that we were talking about the difference between those wedges and late models today, and he said that
Mhm.
today you have to have. He said you pretty much compete. You have to have $100,000 pitch or crew chief to compete
On
in
a
today's
national
world.
level, you got to have somebody that can watch the race car. And because a lot of times it's not even driver feel, like I can go out there and tell you that I feel like I'm tight and we need to free up. And then, Devin may be watching me and say, no, that, that, that was on you, the car's fine. Or I can say I felt good and Devin's like, well, you look terrible. We need to do this. And just seeing the attitude of the race car versus what I feel in the seat and make, adjustments as far as that goes. I mean, you got to have somebody that knows what they're doing, helping you. I tried to go racing, uh, 2 weeks ago to, we went to Lincoln, Illinois to the dirt car fall nationals. And my little brother had a golf thing that he was doing. My wife couldn't go and I drove up there by myself and tried to race for 2 nights, by myself. And, man, it's just, you can't do it. I couldn't, just trying to get through everything and do everything and remember what I was doing. And, we weren't no good. And just, I simply just dialed myself out trying to get everything done in a hurry, and it just can't be done.
Yeah, so you need somebody that knows what they're doing, that can listen to you and maybe not listen to you at the same time, or you know what
For
I mean? I
sure.
guess.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
It
think
takes
it
him.
would be hard to. I think it would be almost impossible to ask somebody. I talked to somebody else about this. It's almost impossible to view for a driver by himself to do that to ever be competitive. You
Yeah,
have to
it
have somebody help you with setups and stuff like that, and everything
it
like that.
really is. And it is sad that it's got that way. Like the days of a guy rolling up in a pickup truck and an open trailer and beating the field is like that's something that me myself, like I love to go racing with an open trailer. I mean, I know you've seen what we got, but I got an open trailer that I enjoy taking just as much, just the same.
That's
But
awesome, and that's
man,
good for the sport too. I think. I think it's good for
it
the sport.
really is. But it's hard to do and be competitive. Uh, just because the amount of stuff that you got to have to be competitive, and you just can't take it
Yeah.
in a little trailer.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you say good for the sport, I mean, there's just nothing like the kids seeing the cars go by and stuff like that.
Yes.
That's what gets them interested. They ask their
Heck yeah.
parents what that is, and then they take the kids to the racetrack, and then the next thing they're out there racing a four-cylinder,
Hooked.
and that's what the sport needs. But it's just the gap from the way up here to the entry level has gotten way too big, and I mean, they need to do something to close the gap.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, that's the hauler thing. That's for commercial reasons, right? Or like for insurance reasons, or why is it that?
Mhm. What do
What's
you
the
mean?
reason that you don't have a wrap on the
Oh,
outside of that
like
your
stickers
enclosed
and stuff?
trailer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. They say, because none of us have CDLs.
So you're an RV.
Exactly. Yeah,
Gotcha.
and I think if you like the sprint car guys, they all have stuff all over their trailers. Um, but they don't ever have like toter homes. They don't live in the trucks like the travel and late model guys do. Um, so I don't know if that's related to it, but I know um technically if you're hauling around a race car or something that makes profit, you're supposed to have a CDL.
I gotcha.
So I think we all stick registered RV stickers on there and cross our fingers we don't ever get pulled over.
Well, you guys are just all out having fun anyway. So
That's it. That's it. I promise you, there's no profit happening. If you go to a race, 50 guys there, there's one guy that leaves that made money. The rest of them, we left with our tail between our legs.
maybe. Yeah. Yeah. No joke.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's no money making going on there. I
No.
do know that. You talked about your dad and your grandpa racing. Where do they race late models at? Up there around Mount Vernon?
Yeah. So my grandpa, let's see, I don't know the exact years. He probably started in the mid 70s. He started drag racing, then he went circle track racing for quite a while. And even when he was circle track racing, he was still drag racing. He was really good at going down the straightaway, but when it got to turning, that's where we struggled. And then my dad started racing in the late 80s, I believe. And he was actually really good. He's got, I don't know how many championships and wins, 125 super late model
Wow.
feature went like that.
Okay.
But he traveled around and did the summer nationals and whatever was, paying money or whatever back then. But he quit in like 2004. So I was still pretty young. I was like 10, I think, when he quit. Um, but yeah, that's kind of where
Okay.
I guess we got my blood flowing.
I got you. I got you. So have you ever run a big series or have you always just stuck to regional stuff?
Just regional stuff. And really, I don't, I love to travel. I love to, get out and go to new places.
So you're a pick and choose guy.
Yeah, for sure. I did the Mars series, in 23. And that was, back then, I think it was like 20 scheduled nights, so that's not bad. You're not married to, like a 40, 50, 60 nights schedule a year, so we could run there 20 nights and then still run wherever we wanted to on the off weekends. It was like 2 weekends a month, I think is what we did then or something, or two. Yeah. Somewhere around there. But, yeah, I prefer to, if we don't want to race, we don't have to race. If we do want to race, I could pack up and go wherever we want to go.
Yeah. I mean, that does sound nice, not be having to, tied down to go somewhere
For
and
sure.
if you see something you like, just go hit it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what so far in your career, what's been the racing wise, what's been the high point for you? Can you pick out one certain thing and say, that's it right there?
The high point, man, the way my career has went, uh, it seems like, we have to struggle before we do good. I don't know, something about the chase, I guess, is what, puts it all together for me. But we've I mean we've won races and we've had uh I mean really good years. But last year we went to Tri City Speedway, which is probably like one of our home tracks. I got about three in my area that's like within an hour away that I've grown up racing on. But for their Mon Mania event, which is um, back in the day, it used to be huge for late models and modifieds both. So we get 40 late models and 60 modifieds, and it's kind of died down, but there's still good field of cars that come for that. Um, and they're let's see, it's a 2-day deal, Friday and Saturday. Friday night, we set fast time, won the heat race, and was leading the feature. And with like four to go, the water pump fell off the front of the motor,
Man.
um, which I didn't know it at the time. Uh, so when the water pump fell off, you lose all the water, and the gauge isn't going to read hot if there's not water on the gauge. So I seen smoke coming out from underneath the hood, like just a little bit at corner entry. I thought it was a power steering line, so I was waiting for the power steering to quit. And we pulled we end up winning the race, and we pull to the scales, and I go to shut the motor off, and it was so hot it wouldn't shut off.
Oh,
I might
man.
have jamming in gear to get the motor to die. So that was a decent paying race that we won, and I thought you know that's great and all, but we've killed a motor in the
Yeah,
process.
no joke. How much is the motor? Oh,
Yeah, so
man.
we're this is the end of September, and we sit around I don't know for an hour or two with our tail between our legs, and I'm like, well, our season's done. I didn't have a spare motor at the time. That was like our third motor at that point that we had broke that year or last year. We had a terrible time with motors. So I said, well, my like I said, my brother, like I said earlier, my brother races as well. I was like, well, I'll just drive your car tomorrow. So well, you're not going to fit my seat. Like, well, yeah, you're right. And so I'm driving home, thinking about what I'm going to do, and I get this idea like, well, I'll just take the motor out of my brother's car and put it in my car and go back tomorrow night. So I get home at 3 a.m. Me and a buddy pull the broken motor out of my car and go to bed. And I get up in the morning, and there's already two or three people at the shop working to get the motor out of my brother's car with, I mean, volunteers. Like they just knew that I
That's
was
awesome.
down on my luck and needed help, and it was awesome. And by the end of the day, we had taken the motor and the complete oiling system out of my brother's car, put it in my car, and done in time to get back to Granite City for hot laps. And there was probably at the end of it, there was probably 8 people at the shop working. I mean, just busting their ass for nothing, just to help me get back out there. And we went the next night and set fast time, won the heat race, and won the feature again. And that
That's
was
awesome,
just
man.
a killer story, you know.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%,
kind of
man.
the same this year. We went to Tri City at Mon Mania the first night, and I flipped a car. I don't know if you've seen the video; it's a pretty wild one. Um, it
Not sure if
actually
I
it
have.
knocked me out, uh, killed the race car. I was pretty. Gave me a concussion, which is like my second one. My wife was like, "Well, you're done for the year. You need to take it easy, whatever." And a friend of mine called me a few weeks ago and was like, "Hey, what are you doing for the rest of the year?" I'm like, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, why don't you come get my other car and put your motor in and go back racing?" Ah, man, I can't do that. He said, "No, really, just, he said, I need to sell it anyway. Let's put a deal together." Anyway, we did, and we won the first night out in it.
That's awesome.
I shouldn't even, that's what the announcer guy's like, I just seen you wreck 2 weeks ago. What are you doing? I was like, "Oh, I shouldn't be here, but here we are.
Did see
We
that.
get to take off."
Did you see the stuff on Winger that he put out for his tire stuff today?
Mm-hmm. I did.
I mean,
I don't know if
how
I'm allowed
often
to
does that
comment on
happen?
thoughts on that. Man, without
Has it happened to you? Have you been?
it's never happened to me. Nope, I've never done anything like that. I I don't know. I don't know who to believe or what to believe, but I do know this. I've had plenty of tire samples taken, uh, and Never had anything come back bad because I don't put bad stuff in my tires. And uh, when people fail tire tests, they're not the only person getting tire sample taken that night.
Okay.
You know, and
So
I could be.
it couldn't be this, oh, hey, check the surface of the track, or it's come from the surface of the track, or,
Uh,
or a knife
I
that
don't see
had
how the
not
next
a
guy
new
would
knife.
fail. You know, I don't see how the next guy would pass it if
Right.
that was the case.
Yeah.
And I like, I like, there's lots of guys that have failed that that I'm friends with. Uh, and that's just one of those conversations you don't get into with them, cause, it's a touchy subject, I guess. You're essentially taking food off their table when you take the check from him. But and if he didn't, do it, or if anybody that's failed didn't do it, I'm sorry, but I don't see how. Like for Bobby Pierce, failed at Volusia or whatever, and it cost him the World Outlaw Championship. Well, I know when you go to an outlaw race and you set fast time, you get a tire sample taken. They probably take, the top three from qualifying, say, and every heat race winner, and maybe even second. Uh, they just take random tire samples from, say, 15 guys throughout the night. How does one fail and the other 14 pass? It just, from an outside guy looking in, it doesn't add up.
Yeah. I mean, so in general, overall, it happens.
It does happen.
Do
There's
you
tire
know,
doping going on.
what
Uh,
it is? What is it?
what's that?
What is
Like
tire
the
doping?
chemical?
Yeah. I mean, what is it?
I don't know. Like, I'm not a chemist. I don't know. I know, and he's probably going to watch this. Uh,
Okay. So let's just do generalities. Just
yeah.
generalities. If you know generally what could help a tire, or what they're doing, or what the purpose of it is.
It's to soften tires.
Okay.
So, and not just to soften them. There's different chemicals that do different things to the tire. For whatever scenario you're in. But a lot of times, if you put a chemical on a tire, it's going to soften it. It's the same thing. It essentially started in go-kart racing. Go-kart racing has been completely ruined by it, in my opinion. It's if you watch a high level go-kart race, it's follow the leader, knock the guy in front of you out of the way, because everybody's glued to the racetrack because they live on tire prep. Their tires are so soft you can stick your hand on the top of it and pick it up like a basketball. You know,
Wow.
uh, and yeah, late model racing will never get to that point. Uh, but it's not good for the sport. It's not. I mean, really, it's not healthy to be around. It's like that stuff's terrible. You got to wear, glove, hazmat suit to go kart race, and yeah, but yeah, it's just chemically softening the tire and praying you don't get caught. Really.
So, does it make that big a difference? Can a good driver still have an
Yeah,
advantage over a mediocre
and
driver
really,
with?
yeah, and I think that half the time I feel like it potentially hurts you more than it helps you. Uh, like I know, you know, back in the day, I used to kind of run around with some guys that would try it, and man, it was one of those things that you couldn't tell if they was on it or not. It's not it's not really you put it on and you gain half a second. I mean, maybe it does, in some instances, but then, you know, what if your tire's too soft and, you have a flat with three to go, then what did it
Yeah,
gain you?
yeah, no joke.
But yeah, yeah, I think it's really a circumstantial deal. I know, like when the East Bay in Florida, like that place was known for, if you went there, you better have dope tires or you was out to lunch. And there's a place here close to home, Hopstad, Indiana, that like you can pull in the pits and all you smell is tire dope. Uh,
Really?
it's just the surface requires it. Um,
Why
to
is that though? Is that because the surface is tearing the tire up, or what?
No, it's
What's
just
the
so
reason?
wet. Like the Hopstein, Indiana, for example, they keep that place so wet, that you could run the softest late model compounded tire that we can run as a two, and you could run a two all night long and not hurt it. Because the wetter the track, the less abrasive it is to the tire. So um, they race modifieds there weekly, and man, you can you can tell, you can take a legal car over there and you can tell who's on it because they're half a track ahead of the guys that aren't on it. It's just it's a huge difference in that aspect. And like we go to Hopstad every year for the summer national races. They only race late models like twice a year, but and every year we go there and question why we're so terrible. Like I went there before. We've won on Friday night. I went there on Saturday, and don't make it out of a B main and can't figure out why. And then you look at the next guy, and you know he's that guy that's got his hand stuck to his tire. And it's just, well, not everybody that's fast is like that,
Right,
but
right.
it does happen
Yeah. I just figured I'd get your thoughts on that because I mean, I'm not an expert on any of it, so it'd be cool to hear your kind of thoughts
Yeah, I'm not either.
on that general stuff.
But that's my thoughts. I'm not an
Well,
expert.
I mean, I know how the grapevine works,
For sure.
so you hear stuff through the grapevine or whatever. So it just in general, I don't know the technical aspects of it. You know what I'm saying, or the technical benefits of it. So it's kind of cool to hear that. I appreciate you telling me about
For
that.
sure.
Um, but so if I wanted a late model or an older late model or used late model, you're probably the guy to talk to as far as
I
that's
would say
concerned,
so.
right?
We've got, and I don't want to pat myself on the back, but man, I've been in business now for 10 years, and I deal with, I feel like, just about everybody. If I don't have it, I can get it. It's one of them guys, or well, I'm one of them guys that if I can do something to help the next guy out, I'll do what it takes, or I'll get whatever you need. Um, so I try to keep stuff here for every budget, because at the end of the day, I gotta grow the sport, because if the sport's not around, I don't have a job.
Yes, sir.
So I
Absolutely.
try to do what I can to treat everybody fair and keep all my customers customers.
Well, I heard I had Chevy Boyer on here, and
Hmm.
he said you'd helped him out quite a bit. So that was kind of cool to hear.
Yep, I got see, so Chevy raced a micro sprint, I guess, before he started late model racing. And him and his dad came over one day and was looking at a car, and that's what Chevy was talking about. He was tired of flipping and feeling like he was gonna die every every time he crashed.
Yeah.
That's I mean, us fender guys, we call those cars push and flips. But anyway, so he bought a late model, and they actually put it together, or I got them. They had a motor from a sprint car, and they kind of adapted it into a late model motor, and it broke the first night out. And I had a motor at the shop. It was at Farmer City, and they came over. They pitted next to us, and he came over after hot laps, and he said, "Man, it's doing something funny." And then it broke like the second lap of qualifying, and Chevy was devastated. He's like, "Man, I don't, we just got this thing together, and I made 2 laps, and our motor broke." He's like, "I don't know what we're gonna do now." And I was like, "Well, you know, I do know a guy that sells race car motors." you know, uh, and I hate to be that guy, but then again,
Yeah.
it
Well, you
it
need
worked
need a
out for
motor.
him. He They came back to the shop, and my brother was at home. He wasn't with me that night, but they my brother opened the shop, and they drove from Farmer City home, pulled their motor out, and used my shop to clean their oil system and everything out. And they was trying to get the motor in so they could go race the next night, but it was when theirs broke and exploded. And it was one of them deals they needed to take a couple days and go through everything. But yeah, he's been a really cool kid to
He
get going.
he is pretty cool, man. He really is.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he just started racing in July this year. Yeah, late models.
Hmm. Yep.
That's pretty
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. Actually, he got one of Logan Martin's cars.
Oh, is that really?
Yep. Hmm.
Well, maybe that's why
Yeah.
that
So he
thing did
got
so
really.
good at Monet.
That's what I told. That's what I told Chevy. He came over one night and he's like, "Man, he's like, all these late model guys. He's like, everywhere I go, he's like, people, I feel like I'm making people mad." I said, "Well, Chevy, you got to realize," I said, "you just started." I said, "You started in a really nice car with a really big motor." I said, "A lot of us guys, when we started, we started with a really old car and a really old motor. We started in the back." I said, "Now you're running up front with us guys." And I said, "If you lay a fender on them, they don't know who you are. They don't know anything about you. And you know, it's just one of them deals." I said, "We didn't all start with, you know,
The
winning
best stuff.
equipment."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But no, he's a good kid. I really like watching people succeed, especially, if I feel like I had a hand in it. That
Yeah.
really makes me feel good.
Yeah, that is awesome, man. It is awesome to see some young guys coming up. You know, new guys coming up that are good like that,
For
like
sure.
him and the cock and doll kid, and
Hmm.
and several more. There's several more in Missouri. Missouri's got, they got several
Yeah, they
coming up.
do. Yep. And that's what the sport needs. It's, which I feel like we gotta, I don't know. I always root for the old guys. So I don't really like to see the young guys win. Like Dale McDowell, he's my pick
Oh
to win
man,
every race in Eldora.
heck yeah.
That's just me. But no, it's really cool. I have the new guys having success, and like, so if Chevy goes out and wins a race, that the next 15-year-old kid that is micro sprint racing, thinking about late model racing, he sees that, then he wants to get going, and then it's kind of a domino effect, hopefully it works that way and gets more people into fenders and away from the wings.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we need listen over here. I'm probably gonna make people mad when I say this, but we need more late models. We need more late models over here in Oklahoma, West Arkansas,
For
and
sure.
Kansas. Yeah, my wife says it the best. She loves late models, and
Right.
she likes factory stocks. I mean, she likes late models, factory stocks, and she cannot stand a modified. And I she knows the hard work that's put into it. She just doesn't like the look of the car.
Sure.
It's just the style of the car. And I
Right.
think there's probably a lot of people that are like that. And I do know the hard work that they put into it. And I just wish that we could get more of them into late models.
For sure. I think and it's our own fault. And we've talked about it earlier, it's just the cars are so technical that the everybody wants to see super late models, but not everybody has a super late model budget. And it's disheartening, when a guy or like if your local track has a super late model race and a guy takes his car there and 30, touring guys show up and, he don't make the show, then next year he doesn't want to go, he leaves his car at home. Um, but so really, and the crate class was intended to kind of fill that gap between, the lower budget guy and the super late model stuff. But it's like anything else, the crate class is out of hand now as well because they didn't limit the rules. And you got crate motors that cost $15,000 to do the same thing that the $6,000 motor does. But people buy the $15,000 ones because that must be the best because it costs more money.
Right.
And it essentially ruins that class. Uh, and it's that way with every kind of racing. And I'm not trying to be the guy that complains about the prices of everything, but that's really what the downfall is to the car counts is just the cost of
Yes,
everything.
sir. Yeah.
And
I mean,
tires
it
cost
really is.
$250 for me.
Hey, I'm just a late model guy. I mean, I don't care if it's good racing. I mean, I don't care what that late model's got in it for motor. If it's good racing,
For
I
sure.
mean, it's just
For
the
sure. And
style. It's the style.
really from the stands, most people don't know the difference. No, uh I really I got a lot of ways. Like I think that you could fix stuff, but it doesn't pad some people in the pocket, so it's never going to happen. And that's just politics in general. It's that way with every aspect of life. Somebody's got to be making money, or it's not. They're not going to
Right.
do it.
Yeah, I mean, there should be some making enough money to make it, but and putting money back into, you know, I don't know,
Yeah.
the sport.
Hmm.
So I don't know. But man,
Yeah.
Blaze, I've had you
So
on here a long time, man. Let's hopefully you can come back on here again, man, because this has been a super awesome talk. Like I said, I was super excited to get you on here, and
for sure. Yeah, I
I'm
appreciate it.
glad you did. Now, before we go though, so what is your business? Shout your business out on here for anybody
Uh,
that doesn't know, which there may not be anybody, but for somebody who might not know.
for sure. Burwell Motorsports. You can find us on Facebook. Well, that's about it. I get asked all the time if I have a website, but that's just something else to keep up with. Um, or just Blaze Burwell on Facebook. That's really I don't post as much on the business page as I should. Uh, but yeah, and we're located in Mount Vernon, Illinois. Um, we stock everything from tires to complete race ready race cars. So yeah,
Okay. And I'll link that. I'll link that in the video, in the description so people can find it. And I know you're on TikTok and I'll tag you in and all the clips that come out too. That way people can see
cool
it and
for
come
sure.
watch this video. Do you have any merch right now available?
Yeah, yep.
And how do they
Um,
get that? Same way, Facebook?
yeah, yeah. My wife handles all that. She's been trying to set up what do you call it, like a Shopify where you can purchase online to make it easier, but she runs a business full time as well, and that hasn't happened yet. So one of these days, yeah, we'll make it easier for people. But yeah,
I got you. Okay. Well, no joke. Blaze, thanks for coming on here, man. I really appreciate it. This has been a good one. I appreciate it.
yeah, Skip, I appreciate it. I enjoyed it.
All right, man. Well, I'll talk to you later. Hope we get a part two here before too awful long.
Yep. Thank you. Have a
All
good
right.
night.
All right. See you, man.